snap is back to hold us down.
And it's good. Gulfport wins. Gulfport wins the title.
No time on the clock. The Golden Egg is coming to the coast.
Welcome to the HD Experience, your source for sports on the Mississippi Gulf Coast. Here's your host, Hunter Dawkins.
My name is Hunter Dawkins, and I am the host of the award-winning podcast, The HD Experience. This is the 49th episode of Mississippi Gulf Coast Sports Podcast, sponsored by the Gazebo Gazette, Harrison County Independent Newspaper, the Beau Rivage Resort and Casino in Biloxi, Nine Toes Brewing Company in Pascagoula, O'Dwyer Realty Agent Stephanie Mankiewicz, Joseph Kelly Attorney at Law, Coast Casual in Pascagoula, the Insurance Barn in Gulfport, Hook 'em for Heroes block party on Saturday, September the 12th. And we're always in the U.S. Marine Inc. studio. And Jeff, we also have just recently added the Pass Ice Cream Palace. And
Awesome.
I'm here with my wonderful producer of the show, my good friend, Jeff Clark. Jeff is a well-accomplished, award-winning journalist, South Alabama beat writer, director of the Harrison County Senior Services, Jeff Clark. Jeff, how are you, my friend?
I'm well, Hunter. Went to Nine Toes, had bingo today for the first time, so we went and did that. That was a lot of fun. It was a great time, and otherwise, man, I'm doing well. You know.
Well, at least there's not a domination out of bingo from you and Charlie.
No, we didn't even get one. Man, there were so many people in there today. We were all the way up on the couches and stuff up in like the part where they had the TV up in the video game TV up in the front. It was packed, and I got close to bingoing, but getting close to bingo doesn't matter. So we never won.
That's right. Jeff, it's a special show today with the theme for the day being local high school football quarterbacks here on the Mississippi Gulf Coast. And we have a few from high school experts also that will give the analysis of the offensive scheme. I really think it's going to be not only interesting, it's going to be a great show. Got well-spoken guys, and of course, we got Matt and Joe, of course, on the show also.
Yeah, I love high school football episodes. I love college football episodes. I know one of our guests is past high quarterback Paris Trevelyan, who I had the pleasure of covering many times last season, and that kid's gold, man. I mean, I fully expect. I don't know what recruiting looks like now, and we talk about this like back in the day. You'd see Nick Saban and Dan Mullins and people like that. These older coaches out on the sidelines. I don't know if those kind of things still happen, but I expect him to be very highly recruited.
Well, especially now on the Division I level, Jeff, as we've talked to several guests about it with the transfer portal and NIL money dilemma. It doesn't happen quite like it used to. However, the farther I think Pascagoula goes up to, at least in the playoff level, I think that's a very good opportunity. As we remember, we spoke with Blake Anderson and Major Applewhite, as it's been on past podcasts at the Sunbelt Media Days in New Orleans, and both of them said they are still into recruiting high school kids.
Right.
And I think Paris is definitely going to be at the top of the list this year. If he's not one of the best players on the coast, he's undoubtedly one of the best quarterbacks in the state.
Right, I agree. So good things ahead for him. So I'm excited to have him on. A lot of great guests today. Always glad when Matt Stats pops in. So anyway, let's get into our first commercial break, and we'll be right back.
Nine Toes Brewing Company is a Gulf Coast destination for craft beer, great food, and interactive entertainment. Enjoy a rotating selection of small batch brews, a menu of comfort food favorites, and state-of-the-art golf simulators featuring world-famous courses.
The Gazebo Gazette is Harrison County's only independent newspaper, publishing news from Gulfport to Bay St. Louis every Friday. Hi, this is Hunter Dawkins, owner of the Gazebo Gazette. If you're looking for local news without the hassle of sorting through story after digital story, log on to thegazebogazette.com. To introduce my friend and one of the experts in high school football across the Mississippi Gulf Coast, who fans, students, coaches, and scouts follow through Twitter and Facebook. Matt Stats, how are you, my friend?
Hunter, it is great. It is football month, the month of August here, just 3 weeks away till kickoff. So looking forward to it, and always great to be on the HD Experience.
Talk to me about the quarterbacks on the coast and who you feel is at the top and who might surprise you.
As far as at the top, it is going to be the aforementioned Paris Trevelyan with Pass Christian. He was the second leading passer last year behind Parker Nettles, who has since graduated. So Paris is going to be the top quarterback returning. Other than that, you're going to have Keon McNeil from Gaucher. He's just 23, 26 passing yards last year. So their team is going to be back, Gaucher. I know you're going to have the guest on, Justin Wedgeworth from Hancock. He's taken over behind who I call Superman, Case and Kanan, who did a great job there at Hancock, getting them to the second round in the playoffs. So there's a plethora of quarterbacks there. Some coming back off injury. You'll have, Long Beach Derek McDonald, who was hurt earlier in the season last year. I look for him to come back into make some noise with Long Beach. They unfortunately have the longest losing streak active as far as region game wise. And then, like I said, I can go over all the quarterbacks per se, from Titus Feaster or PRC. But the top quarterback for me heading into this year is Paris from Pass Christian.
Well, tell me about some of the possibly, Matt, the guy that's, or maybe not necessarily one guy, maybe a few guys that might surprise us.
Yeah, some of the surprise, with Bay High, Cameron Garcia, I believe he's going to, he didn't play. He got hurt last year too. So I believe quarterback, again, Cameron Garcia. Biloxi Jordan Ramsey, he was there last year. Look for him. He has a new head coach, which Coach Collier was a defense player. Stone, Zayden Howard. So I look for him to make a good comeback this year coming up. Someone that may surprise you, East Central, they're more of a passing team. Cash Litton, the 6'1" senior, look for him to throw the ball a little bit more there. So unproven quarterbacks, Justin Wolverton, I believe, is going to be the starting quarterback for Gulfport. Mitchell Nettles is gone. So, he threw 2 more passes than you and I did last year in regular season. So we'll see what Wolverton does for Gulfport. And you switch over to St. Martin, Dawson Sullivan, there was Seth Crockett, that mix and match up there. So they're going to make some noise. Plus other quarterbacks, I don't have enough time necessarily to go over. But to answer your question, basically Paris is at the top of my list.
Well, and, it's funny you say that about Wolverton. He really got to play a lot more snaps in the early playoffs, when Gulfport was pretty much knocking everybody out pretty early on, and he got a few snaps in the playoffs, and that could potentially help him out a lot. So I tend to agree with you on that, at least from Gulfport's plan. Next question, though, is which quarterback may run for more yards than throw for more?
Again, Titus Feaster from PRC last year, he's 6'2", 195, 19 passing touchdowns, 5 interceptions. He rushed for 953 yards there. So that's 5.6 yards a carry he did. So that's the top running back there, I believe, is going to balance run and pass is Titus Feaster from PRC. And I will be posting or will be posted on Facebook page. I did a stat between teams this year last year, who has run it the most and who has passed the most. And some of it may not be surprising, and some of it, may just be surprising there, as far as you would think Pascal Christian would have passed it the most last year yard-wise. That is not true. It is Hancock who threw it 362 passing attempts and actually ran it 371 times. So, again, Wedgeworth under Coach, that's why they call it air raid there. Coach King looks to have that team there with Hancock to take that next level. They won, again, the first round. So he's going to do maybe some running there, Justin Wedgeworth. But my top running quarterback will be Feaster out of PRC.
Of these teams that we spoke about, this is not so much a quarterback question. This is more of an offensive question. Who are the teams that's going to end up shocking or, a little bit back on most people's mind with returning players that are going to produce the most offense, at least on the coast, or somebody that we haven't seen?
As far as the returners, again, Van Cleve will be there. East Central I had mentioned. I mean, yes, Ocean Springs, I believe, with Chamberlain there, the quarterback, they've lost some key starters there, but Coach Bramlett always has that team ready to go. I feel Gulfport will defend the region title. They have a lot of returning starting quarterbacks. Biloxi, St. Martin, again, I mentioned Dawson Sullivan, the two Sullivan twins, Seth Crockett, quarterback last year. St. Martin has a great chance at making some noise, making the playoffs. West Harrison, they're going to have to win. They have a tough schedule there, especially on the road games. So as far as a team, to get back, I believe Gulfport can get back to state. Picayune's there as their team to surprise. Pascagoula, with Jason Galad, if I say his name right, the junior there with the sheriff, Coach Green, the head coach of Pascagoula. Can they get them turned around? They have the docuseries that they just posted a couple of days ago. I'd like to see the behind the scenes there, but can anybody get past Picayune? They won it 5 straight times for 6. Stone has the record for 6 straight region titles. So I don't want to say it's the usual suspects. I know you're asking me for someone who could jump up to surprise. Man, I mean, D'Iberville is there in 7A. They can beat Gulfport. Ocean Springs, is there. So it's just, I would say D'Iberville has a lot of good seniors. Of course, they have Wally. There are a lot of other players too. So D'Iberville wouldn't shock me if they won the region title. Those 3 teams have won the region titles for probably 10 years. I have to check that stat, but Gulfport, Ocean Springs, and D'Iberville. So look for D'Iberville there. And again, Picayune still king of the 6A.
Well, I agree with you. And one of the things that about the D'Iberville team is I remember last year with a game that was very close at halftime with Gulfport, the Wally, I'm not really even sure if it's Justin Jordan. There are a whole bunch of J's in the name, but the Wally kid, I think it's Jaden, but yeah, the Wally kid really certainly ran the football. Not always a play call, but he obviously ran the ball on a few scramble routes. Do you see anything? Is he still going to be playing the quarterback position, or do they have kind of a dual threat with somebody else possibly coming in?
Yeah, Jordan, who is going to the same school, college, Minnesota, as his brother.
Yeah.
But he should be starting quarterback. And he also plays defense, too. He had a couple interceptions. So, yes, he's got an all-around player there at D'Iberville. And surprisingly, they're a rush team, obviously. And so they are – last year, they actually threw the ball, if I have it here, 136 times and rushed it 404 rushing attempts. That is D'Iberville. And I believe, like I say, Wally is all around. He's a great athlete. He was there at Media Day. I believe they have the potential there. I mean, Gulfport has some great starters, too. So I believe D'Iberville will sneak in to get that second seed past Ocean Springs. Can it make it to state? Most definitely D'Iberville can make it to state. Coach Ladner, his 5th season here, he didn't make the playoffs the first 2 years. He made the playoffs the last 2 years, but he didn't make a win in the playoffs. So I look for him to make that next step here with D'Iberville. They have a new – I say brand new stadium. It's renovated, millions of dollars. So it's at the same location, but they'll be ready to go. It's always tough to play in D'Iberville, and Jordan Wally will definitely play a factor on how far they go.
Well, I've also noticed too, Matt, that you haven't really talked. You talked about the definite success of Picayune. Who's running there? Who's the quarterback one behind them? If I'm not mistaken, is he a returner or is it somebody new that they've got running the quarterback one position?
Uh, yeah, actually, I mean, I know David Dennis is the running back,
Yeah,
Mr. Chill, but as far as quarterback, just to give you necessarily a stat on them, Picayune threw the ball 72 times. They ran it 556 times. That is
sure.
just right behind Poplarville.
Yeah,
I do not have necessarily the starting quarterback. I can dig for it, but I don't have off the top of my head as far as when we talk about quarterbacks.
sure, sure.
It's he plays a factor in it, yes, but I don't want to say it's like having a screen door on the submarine. They're
Yeah,
going to hand the ball, but they lull you to sleep off the top of my head as far as who the quarterback is going to be. Unfortunately for Picayune, but whoever it is definitely going to play a factor in getting them deep in the playoffs. They've been to South State the last couple of years. They've been taken out by Hattiesburg the last 2 years in South State.
sure, sure. And as far as we spoke, the final question, Matt, is what is Biloxi looking like? I know that they just snuck in the playoffs last year, but as far as coaching change, has anything on their game changed at all?
Uh, no, again, they have the Jordan Ramsey, the Ramsey twins, that will be a factor there. And they did make it to the playoffs last year. They did need overtime, obviously to win against, or
West
not
End?
overtime, against West Harrison. They did go for that 2 points and to win there. So Biloxi, I believe, like I said, they were in the playoffs. I mean, I'm coming out my region predictions here in this week or the following week, and they slid in last year. They're going to make a big move. I mean, they do have some good players coming back. They got a great coaching staff. And, of course, Coach Collar, the defensive coordinator last year, he has like 18, 20 years of coaching experience, mainly in Alabama. But I believe Biloxi, they're going to be a factor in the playoffs. Can they make it, the second seed or third seed? I don't believe so. I mean, for a second seed, I believe that's going to either be, like, say, Diablo Gulfport. Can they make the playoffs? I believe that they have a great chance at making the playoffs there. And just to digress here, Hunter, as I was looking it up, Picayune Robertson was a senior last year for the quarterback who threw it 66 times. They have a sophomore, Rayborn, and a junior, Hathorn, who threw it 6 total times throughout the season last year. So I don't know which one is going to be starting quarterback. So I don't want to leave you hanging on the starting quarterback for Picayune, but he'll be doing a lot of handing off to Dennis and their running back crew there that they have at Picayune.
Well, I appreciate you, Matt. Tell everybody how they can contact you.
Yes, they just Coast Football. I have a lot coming out, especially on Facebook and across all social media. The region predictions, the star cards, the preseason rankings, the streaks heading into 2026. And then the actual kickoff is about 3 weeks away. If you want to be particular, about 600 hours away. And Meridian will be at Ocean Springs that Thursday, the 27th. And so it's one thing to talk about all these quarterbacks, Hunter, but now for you and for the fans to hear directly as they prepare for the 2026 season. I know you're fixing to have 3 quarterbacks on, and I'm going to be able to catch up with that on that. So I appreciate you having me on, but just Coach Football, and we'll be kicking off here in a matter of weeks.
Thank you, my friend. You take care.
All right. Stats out.
Looking for trusted legal guidance on the Mississippi Gulf Coast? Joseph Kelly, attorney at law, has been serving the coast since 1993, helping families protect what matters most. From estate planning to securing your legacy, Joseph Kelly provides experienced, personalized legal services designed around your unique needs.
Nine Toes Brewing Company is a Gulf Coast destination for craft beer, great food, and interactive entertainment. Enjoy a rotating selection of small batch brews, a menu of comfort food favorites, and state-of-the-art golf simulators featuring world-famous courses.
I would love to introduce my first 2 guests, Pascal Shan head football coach Jeff Stockstill, and additionally, one of the top quarterbacks in the state of Mississippi this year, quarterback number 1 for Pascal Shan High School, Paris Trevelyan. How are you guys?
Good, Hunter. Thanks for having us on.
Paris, talk to me about the team and your development in a leadership role, calling plays on the field or in the huddle.
Um, I feel like coaches always let me, tell them what I see on the field, whether it be throughout the week or during the game, sometimes in between drives, and being able to talk to them about that made it really easy. Really does.
Coach, if you don't mind kind of following up on that question, just what do you see from Paris and how his leadership has worked for the team?
Well, we put a lot of trust in him to make good decisions. Because we're not an ego run team. We're not a micromanaging coaching staff. There's things he can see that we can't. Myself and Garrett Stansberry kind of put together the weekly game plan, and in between drives or series or whatnot, and something changes, they move to a different look or something like that. He may see something that we don't, so we always try to keep that communication open. And a lot of times if it's not broke, we're not going to fix it. So we just try to get the ball in his hands, let him do his thing.
Paris, when you watch the past game films of yourself, what are areas do you think you should improve on, and what are some of your strengths?
Areas I think I should improve on: being more accurate, less balls hitting the turf, being more poised in the pocket. But one of my strengths, I feel like I'm really mobile, and yeah, I feel like I'm not afraid to use my legs or nothing like that. So.
Coach, when you see Paris on game film, obviously you see the talent. What are some of the areas that, he's got to really you discuss with him, or Coach Stansberry, either one of you guys talk with him? Is it more of a decision, or is it a read, or is it, I know most of it can't be athletic talent, but it's got to be something at least to where maybe you manage up with him on that.
Well, when you kind of design plays or whatnot, and Coach, I got some of the stuff I've used over the years from Coach King, and I know you'll have him on here in a few minutes, and he'll probably echo some similar stuff. You try to design or call your plays based on the players you have. The square peg round hole theory. So our philosophy with Paris, and we try to tell him, hurt the team with your arms, but beat him with your legs. He's a really good runner. So if the first second read's not there, man, don't be afraid. Take off. Be smart, baseball slide, get out of bounds, don't take the hits on your body, and things like that. And as far as the run game, we try to build in, QB reads where he has the option to pull, where it's a zone read type play or a counter read type play, quarterback draws, power reads. We do build a lot of stuff in to utilize the run game. But if you watch this play, we like to get it in the air. But at the same time, we don't want to force something that's not there. So if the look's not clean, hey man, take off running. If you see something and they give you the right look, pull the ball, run, do your thing. You can hurt a team with your arms, but you can beat them with your legs. At the same time, be smart. Don't take the body shots. Don't take the head shots. Slide, get out of bounds, whatever the case may be, and just get on to the next play. Keep the drive alive, that type stuff.
Coach, this question is for you would be, but I'm gonna also give it to Paris after. What did last year's success for the Pirates, one of the most successful seasons in Pat Christian Pirate history? What's the challenge of this? Not exactly. I mean, of course, I know every football coach, high school football coach, the challenge is to get to the state and win state championship. But as far as from making sure the players are not complacent, is that something that you're looking for, or just kind of give me your take on it?
Well, complacency in players, honestly, is a good problem to have. You'd rather have players. That means the players know what they're capable of, and it's up to us as coaches to push them and get it out of them week in, week out. But to answer your question, I think maintaining that level is the biggest challenge. You certainly don't want to return some key players in key situations and take a step backwards. in the win-loss column or things like that. So there may be cases, where you may have the wrong injury at the wrong position or something like that, and it hurts your team. There's some factors you can't control, but keeping the team positive, keeping the team motivated by whatever means necessary to maintain that level of standard and build off of it. That's the challenge.
Paris, also with you following up on this question, what's the success from last year? And of course, something that Pastor Shane had never done with the region championship during the MHSA era, and one of the most successful teams that the high school has ever had. What's the motivation for you to make it a better year?
Um, to go all the way, I mean, we've been to the third round twice, at least since I've been in high school. So just pushing that limit all the way to state and being state champions for the first time in history.
Have you had a number of recruiters reach out to you, at least trying to? Is that causing, I know you would never admit to being a problem, but is it, you telling guys, hey, look, we'll talk about this after the season's done? Kind of give me your take on that.
Yeah, I've had a couple coaches, come down to the school, mostly JUCO and SWAC. But I mean, right now my focus is on the season right now. Uh, my my senior campaign, and how much better I can get between now and the end of the season, just improving every week and winning every game.
Paris, what offensive teammates besides yourself, what offensive teammates on your team are going to be the most productive this year? I mean, who are we going to be shocked when we're looking and watching the Pass Christian Pirates play outside of yourself? Who are we going to say, goodness gracious, we should have been paying attention to that?
Definitely Mario Burks, um, big wide receiver. He's he picked up some offers during the spring, and he's gonna be very productive this year. Yeah, and Douglas White, I say our running back. We pass the ball a lot, and that opened up a lot of opportunities to run the ball, and he should he should do well.
Coach, same question. Who on offense are we going to be surprised at? Is there anything that any player that has not been talked about that has not shown up? Is it the offensive line? Is it, it doesn't have to necessarily be a player, can be a unit. Is there, who do we have to be paying attention to that besides Paris?
Well, hopefully that offensive line, as a group, plays consistently. There's a lot of returning experience with that group. So hopefully that, again, nobody gets hurt or nothing like that. So hopefully that group consistently plays well. But just to echo or to answer your question, also opposite of Mario is Brandon Leno, and we're hoping he has a good year also. Paris is right about Doug. He's an upcoming senior as well, a lot of experience. And so we're hoping to have a good year out of him. And Brandon will be a junior coming up. So he played a little bit last year with some receiver, mostly defensive back. He had a real good spring and a real good summer. So we're hoping that he finds himself open and we're able to get the ball to him.
Minus every game this year, Coach, what would make this season successful for you?
Uh, seeing nobody lose their senior year to an injury or something that was out of their control. And when the team or when the seniors graduate and they look back and they say, I enjoyed playing high school football. It was tough, but it was fun. Or I learned this or I learned that, or something that they can take with them, throughout their life or whatever the next chapter is for them. They can look back and say, well, I'm glad I played football because of whatever reason that may be.
Paris, you got the final question. Minus every game this year trying to win, what's going to make this season successful for you?
Um, just well, first I would say team success, but individually, I'd say I do want 3,000 yards passing. I feel like if I hit that, we can go really far and hopefully win bigger games than we've been winning.
Well, we thank you guys both, and we definitely appreciate you guys. We look forward to seeing you, and hopefully we'll be talking again soon. Coach, we'll definitely see you in the Oyster Bowl week.
All right. Thanks, Hunter. I appreciate it.
Take care.
Mark your calendars for Saturday, September 12th, and head to Nine Toes Brewing Company in Pass Christian for the Hook 'em for Heroes block party. It's a free event from 1 to 10 p.m. featuring live performances by J.J. Gray and Mofro, Mark Broussard, Cedric Burnside, Honey Island Swamp Band, and more. Best of all, the event supports local veterans and first responders, so come enjoy great music while giving back to those who have served our communities.
Looking for insurance coverage you can count on? Call the Insurance Barn, a professional agency since 1959. The Insurance Barn writes all-in-one policies and offers coverage for homeowners, fire, flood, commercial property, auto, boats, motorcycles, plus wind and hail protection.
I'd love to introduce my next guest, Hancock High School quarterback Justin Wedgeworth, and along with the head football coach, Michael King. How are you guys doing?
Good. Doing good.
Coach, we'll ask you first. Talk to me about the team and the team's development in a leadership role, calling plays on the field, at least with this football team this year.
You know, anybody that throws the football around as much as we do, you really do have to be able to trust the guy, your signal caller back there. You give him a lot of autonomy. He'll talk to you about that in a second, about how he's able to see some things in real time on the field and make decisions that's going to put us in the best position possible to be successful. So I'm glad we've got a guy this year in Justin Wedgeworth that allows us to do that. It's a weapon for sure.
Justin, talk to me about that. What are you seeing, and what about your leadership that you have to have calling plays on the field or in the huddle? What's different about it? Because I know you haven't necessarily had that much on the varsity level up until this year. Talk to me about the difference in that.
A big thing he's been telling me is like to always stay level with like my emotions. Like you can't be up or down ever. Just like always stay the same. And the leadership part, like calling the plays. If I see something I want to tag or I think a play might be open, he'll let me. If I tell him and I tell him why, he'll probably call it for me or let me change it.
Coach, also to you, what do you think that he should improve on, and what are the strengths of his game so far?
You know, I think we've talked about in the offseason the fact that he is a big physical presence. He has a strong arm. I've been doing this about 22 years, and I can honestly say he's got the strongest arm of anybody I've coached. You know, I thought it was funny that Paris mentioned a minute ago, not as many balls in the dirt and things like that. So some accuracy. Want to make sure that when we miss, you know, it doesn't put us in a bad situation or we turn the ball over. But like he says, you know, I think for the quarterback position, the poise aspect is the most important thing, because if you get rattled and the defense sees that you're rattled and they think they've got a leg up, it's almost like blood in the water for sharks. You know, if they think that they've got you rattled, they're in your head, then that can kind of spiral and snowball. And so we talk about, you know, not making a bad play, a disastrous play by, you know, thinking you've got to win or lose on every play, and basically get us in a situation to where we can play the next play and be successful.
Did last year's success for the team, and it was a really successful team for Hancock, at least up to this point, is that a challenge this year because of complacency?
You know, that's always a thing that you have to guard against is we get satisfied, we get complacent. You know, those are positive emotions, but they're positive, harmful, you know, if you're not always guarding against that. And I think for the team, just like for what Justin's saying with the quarterback, if you can stay consistent and steady and never get too high or never get too low, you know, if kids are walking around with inflated egos, we try to bring them back down to earth. Or one week you might take one on the chin and you're walking around with your lip poked out, and we've got to build confidence back up. So if we can stay level headed and be consistent with the way that we coach them and the way that we prepare, we should be able to avoid getting complacent and going backwards, because that's definitely not what we want to do in year two.
Justin, does any role of community service in the Kill bring the team fellowship, or is there any other camaraderie you guys have?
Well, we don't really do much community stuff. We do like a meet the team thing where we all come together and we'll all go. We're having a dinner actually. We're gonna go. All the seniors are going to have a dinner. We're gonna go eat. But I think everyone on the team really gets along. Like we don't ever have any fights. We're always having fun. I think we're like, out of all the 4 years of being here, I think this team is like the most together team. Like we're all friends with each other.
What offensive teammate besides yourself is going to be the most productive of this year? Who do you see that you're like, this is who we need to watch besides me, obviously. But who do you think we're going to be focused on outside of you?
Logan Lozana, he's the right guard. He's big. He's really athletic, and he cares. He cares a lot. Like he does so much outside of school practice. He goes home, does stuff, works out. He'll go do speed training to get his feet quicker. So I think y'all be hearing a lot of him.
Coach, what side on the offensive unit? What's one group that we're going to pay attention to that's going to kind of shock us that we didn't expect, whether it be the line, the receivers, the tight end, running back? Justin himself, we'd expect him to have a productive year, but somebody like that that's going to shock the fans.
I'm going to flip the script on you guys. Since we're an air raid offense, probably people would expect us to talk about the backs or the receiving core and that part of it. But I'm super excited about our offensive line. We've got some big dudes up front. And Justin don't know this yet, but those guys are going to be his best friend. I've always been told you get off the bus with the run game and your defense. So I'm hoping our run game, will help balance us out a little bit more, so Justin doesn't feel the pressure to have to make every play, that if we need to, we can line up and block down and kick out. We've got 6'4", 6'2", 6'3" on the offensive line kind of across the board. We're going to mess with people and get in there with some massive splits from time to time, 5 foot between the tackle and guards, and maybe 3.5, 4 foot between the centers and guards. So hopefully we can make people really uncomfortable with those big dudes in there.
Coach, I'll tell you this, you guys run the ball more than 20 times in a game. I'll take you out to Dempsey's. How about that?
Sounds good.
Dempsey's
but I'll tell you what, Justin, minus winning every game this year, what would you make this season? What would be the successful part for you? What do you expect that you're going to be able to produce from an individual level and from the team? What's going to be the most successful season for you?
Just probably making the third round of playoffs or a home playoff game. We had a home playoff game. We've only ever had one home playoff game in our career of like Hancock, and I think that was in 2017.
And so that's it. You're just a home playoff game as a team. But what about yourself personally? I mean, do you see yourself throwing the ball a bunch, about just getting the offensive unit to go down and score more?
I successful. So I kind of want my receivers, like all of my receivers, to probably catch about 800 yards each. We got 4 of them. So if each of them get about 800 or more, I think that'll be good enough for me.
That sounds good. Coach, yourself, same question, minus winning every game, because I know every coach that coaches the MHSA level wants to win every game, including the state title. What would be a successful year for you?
I tell people success a lot of times has to be measured based on, did you reach your full potential? And sometimes it takes 2 or 3 games into the year to know what your potential is. But I do think we've got a chance to be pretty good in year 2 in this system. I'm excited about the defensive side of the ball as well. We hired Coach Ty Trahan, who I worked with briefly at Pearl River Community College, as our new defensive coordinator. So I hope we can get more stops on the other side of the ball, be able to stop the run and score some points. And if we do that, if we balance out offense, defense, and special teams, and we're able to, potentially get back to the playoffs and get out of that second round, that would be awesome. Like Justin says, a home playoff game would be awesome. They'd have a parade here in the Kill if we were able to have a home playoff game, and the fans are supportive. I got a good administration that really gives us everything we need to be successful. I've got the good coaching staff now in place with all those missing pieces and to that puzzle that's fixed, and then 20 seniors. So to just be able to reach our potential and give the folks in the community something to be proud of when they talk about Hancock football.
Coach, Justin, we appreciate you guys very much, and we'll be following you guys throughout the year. Appreciate y'all.
Hey, thanks, Hunter. Go Hawks.
Take care.
Treat yourself to something sweet at Pass Ice Cream Palace in beautiful downtown Pass Christian. Pass Ice Cream is serving up more than 65 flavors of premium Hershey's ice cream, along with refreshing boba tea, creamy milkshakes, dirty sodas, brownies, cookie sundaes, and delicious desserts the whole family will love.
If you are thinking about selling on your own, maybe ask Steph. If you would like to talk to Stephanie to help determine your next steps, call today at 228-563-0471 or call her at the office and ask for Steph at 228-452-4242. I'd like to introduce my final guest, one of my good friends and former teacher, Joe Jacks, the head track and field coach at St. Stanislaus. Additionally, Coach Jacks is a sports reporter for the Gazebo Gazette and the Seacoast Echo. And finally, above all, I know one of his favorite things to do is an Ole Miss beat reporter. Coach, historically, the western half of the Mississippi Gulf Coast has been solid with quarterbacks at the high school, eventually college, and some professional level. Do you see any of that in the future for the 2026 class?
Well, Hunter, thank you first for having me back on the podcast. Thoroughly enjoy it when we get to talk high school sports and Ole Miss football, as you eloquently put it. With the 2026 class, I see a couple possible collegiate players. No flashes of professional play in any of the Western end quarterbacks. Paris Trevelyan will play college football. There's no doubt about it. He's a dual threat quarterback. He fits the college scheme right now that everybody's trying to run. And I think he possesses the size to be someone who can develop into a solid college quarterback. Cam Garsha at Bay High, he was a part-time starter last year, didn't really show much. So he's a senior this year, so he's got to put it all on the line this year. The quarterback down at Hancock, the Wedgeworth kid, possesses good size, comes from a good bloodline. His dad played college football at Mississippi College, and he's a tough-nosed kid, but he played in the shadow of Kyson Canan last year, who is now in the JUCO ranks in Mississippi. So he's a senior this year, and he's got to put it all on the line to make an offer happen. I think it's Derek McDonald at Long Beach. He's a junior this year. He was a sophomore last year. Got on the field a little bit. Didn't throw a touchdown pass, but he didn't throw an interception either. So he's got 2 years. He's a junior this year. So, he could certainly develop into something possibly. Stanislaus has a new quarterback, kid by the name of Max Bernard. He is a senior transfer. And he's coming in. He possesses very good size, stands roughly about 6'4", and throws a terrific ball. Now, there's a difference between throwing a terrific ball in practice and throwing a terrific ball in a game.
Yeah.
And so we have yet to see him in a game yet. That'll be coming up on the 21st when Stanislaus and Long Beach play in their high school jamboree to start the season. And then we see the very next week, the 28th, we'll see him at Forest County High School in the first regular season game. So he possesses pretty good dual threat ability. He escapes pressure in practice. But again, like we all know, practice and games are two totally separate things.
And really quick before, I don't mean to interrupt you, And
Sure.
maybe you know this better than I do, which is one of the reasons I'm asking you. I heard some rumbling about the Stanislaus kids' eligibility. Is it already been cleared by the MHSAA?
To my knowledge, he has been cleared. The coaches made that clear to me at media day this past Saturday. He's good to go, from what I understand. Now that again, I'm not asking the question of the MHSAA. That's the coaching staff at Stanislaus telling me that when I went to go take the team photo for the newspaper and to get information for the preseason story. So. From all intents and purposes, from that, he is eligible to play.
Okay. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No. I mean, that's a legitimate question with a senior transfer coming in. That's a legitimate question to ask. So I mean, all schools have had senior transfers, and all schools have to submit their proper paperwork and reports to the MHSAA to gain eligibility for the players that they try to do. So from all intents and purposes, I believe he is fully eligible.
Based on the offensive schemes used nowadays, which team appears to be headed to make waves in the playoffs from the western half of the coast?
Okay. First and foremost, Pass Christian. Coach Stockstill has been there for a number of years. He has had his offense in position, and Paris Trevelyan is about to start his third year in a row. So I think they have legitimately put themselves at the top of the list of the western end of the coast as far as making waves in the playoffs. They have the playmakers for Paris to throw to and to hand off to. They have a seasoned line. So their offense should be on cruise control. Outside of that, if this Max Bernard kid at Stanislaus is able to move the offense and keep it alive and obviously not suffer injury, because the depth is always a concern when you're talking about low roster sizes. If he's able to stay healthy and make the offense move, it's going to be a much different offense than you've seen the last 2 years from St. Stanislaus. It is going to be a high octane offense, and they do have a few receivers that they can throw to. But again, I'm saying all this without having played a game. So, sure. Until they line up and play a game against competition, that all remains unfounded.
Now, I know this is a little bit of an oddball question, and you may not have that much knowledge of, and I apologize for that, but how is recruiting going on for the teams on this western side of the coast? I know that Paris has had just a few offers, and that Mario Burks, a wide receiver of the past, has had some big offers. But as far as from Stanislaus, Bay High, Hancock, and I did hear this morning that the West Harrison defensive end had an offer from the Naval Academy, but that's basically, I heard all that. So I'm just wondering if you have any knowledge of any recruiting going on from that side of the coast.
Yeah, I think we'll see some junior college programs step into the stadium to see some of these western end of the coast products playing. I think the Wedgeworth kid will ultimately get an offer. I think he will. Coach Michael King runs a fantastic offense. This is his second year in the offense. I'm talking about the quarterback, Wedgeworth. Even though he didn't start last year, he did practice in it. He understands the terminology. He knows what to look for. They have some very talented second-year wide receivers in Aspen Favre and Majia Talley. So they've got some people that can catch the football and that have played in a starting role on this offense last year that made it to the second round of the playoffs. So there's some opportunities there.
That's the farthest the Hancock had gone since they've been over 4A. Am I correct, Coach?
Well, they did go to the second round under Neil Lawler once, and the year that they lost to Pearl in the second round when Pearl won the state title.
Okay.
So so they have equaled as far as they've gone in this 6A classification. And I don't see why they can't make it back to the second round. They have the playmakers around them and around Wedgeworth to be able to do that. I think St. Stanislaus returns to the playoffs after missing last year for the first time since 2012. I think they make it back to the playoffs. Again, depth will be the concern there. Are they able to stay injury-free and be conditioned to play with teams 4 quarters with the low roster size that they have? Bay High, this is a secondary year of Catlin French as the head coach there. This is the second year that he's had to work with Cam Garsha. They picked up a big transfer athlete in Javian Thompson. He is not lining up at quarterback. He is lining up in an athlete position, a la slot back or possibly running back for the Bay High Tigers, which I believe is his natural position. So they have some opportunity there as well. But I think Pass Christian unequivocally is the team on this end of the coast to look at making waves in the playoffs.
Coach, final question, and this is more of an editorial question, which, we definitely need to start putting a little bit more into that. But I remember back before the transfer portal and the NIL that coaches would show up sometimes during off weeks and things like that into games. When I say that, I mean Division I coaches, your Saban, your Ed Orgeron, your different fellas, that were coaching across the country. What has happened to that? Is that ever going to come back again, or is that just a lost art?
Well, that's a very good question, Hunter, and it's one that needs a little bit more investigation and obviously needs to be brought up to be discussed about on a more regular basis. High school recruiting has really taken a hit from 2 things. The transfer portal, which currently allows players to transfer as often as they want. And then you also have that court case that went through that in most instances, the junior college players are playing 2 years of junior college and then still having 4 years to play at a senior college.
Yeah.
Because they're looking at the junior college ranks as not counting their playing time. That has to be sorted out, because you cannot keep pushing back high school recruiting because you're pushing back development, and you're pushing back development in the sport. And it's inherently hurting college football. In my opinion, that's my opinion. You asked this to be an editorial, so it's my opinion.
Absolutely.
Do I ever think do I ever think the importance of high school recruiting is going to come back? I think with the legislation that the Congress is trying to put through with the Protect College Sports Act, part of that legislation is to require a one-time transfer, which means you're not transferring 4 times in 4 years. You transfer one time and you've blown your chance at transferring again. I think that needs to be adopted. I think it inherently will help preserve the sport. And what it will do is it will reemphasize high school recruiting, because right now college coaches are not making the trip to high school knowing that they can go into the portal, which at any point in time when they open the portal those 2 times a year, you're going to have somewhere in the area of 2,500 players in there. You can go in there and find a player that has college experience that can step right into your program and you not skip a beat. You can't do that with a high schooler. High schooler, there's a big learning difference between being an 18-year-old phenom and then getting onto a team with 120 players in the SEC or the Big 10 or the Big 12 and having to play a 22-year-old who's been playing 4 years. Big difference.
Coach, one little side thing in that, did I not hear correct? But isn't there a rule about the coaches, i.e. the Kiffin rule, that comes in effect with that too? Or am I missing out? Did I not hear correctly on that law?
No, you heard correctly on that. There is some talk about limiting college coaches, I guess, dialogue with players, if you want to call it that.
Sure.
And then keeping everything in place, part of the Kiffin rule, because Kiffin left. He's having regrets right now how he left, and he's doing everything he can to cover up his regret, because he is someone who does not want to show remorse for anything. And he's trying his best to cover it up, but he's having regrets about how he left, because I believe at the SEC Media Days, if I'm not mistaken, Saban basically is handing the reins over to him for the most vile return to a previous location.
That's right.
And says Kiffin is going to take that this coming season when he returns to Ole Miss. And I believe it. I mean, hopefully we don't resort to the mustard bottle throwings and the golf ball throwings and everything else. Certainly boo him when he comes out, but let the answers be developed on the field.
Yeah.
But that Kiffin rule is part of the discussion, and it too would help as well.
Coach, we appreciate you. Let everybody know how they can contact you.
Absolutely. Anyone can reach me at my email address, jjex2@aol.com. I look forward to any comments, criticisms, or just want to throw a question out.
Coach, we thank you always.
Thank you very much, Hunter. Have a great one.
United States Marine Inc. knows what it means to show up strong. Your grit and teamwork inspire us every day. At USMI, we cherish our family, and our family includes community and you. USMI builds the baddest boats with pride and coastal toughness.
We gratefully appreciate you listening to this podcast, and we thank you again, Jeff. This was certainly a good podcast. We want to thank all of our sponsors, the Beau Rivage Resort and Casino in Biloxi, Nine Toes Brewery in Pass Christian, O'Dwyer Realty Agent Stephanie Mankiewicz, Joseph Kelly, Attorney at Law, Coast Casual in Pass Christian, the Insurance Barn in Gulfport, Hook 'em for Heroes, Block Party, the Pass Ice Palace, and U.S. Marine Inc. Jeff, this was a good one.
Yeah, it's probably one of, I say it every week. This is definitely one of my favorite ones. Having high school athletes on, the high school coaches, just that local experts, Joe Jaggs, Matt Stats. Great episode.
Absolutely. We thank you again, Jeff. And we make sure you follow us and subscribe on YouTube under the Gazebo Gazette Productions on the national award-winning website, also the gazebogazette.com, where the podcast will be posted sometime next week, as well as on facebook.com/the Real Gazebo Gazette, or on X at Gazebo Gazette as the handle. The HD Experience, as Jeff has said, is available on all podcasts, including Apple, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and Amazon Music under the HD Experience tag. Signing out, this is Hunter Dawkins, the host of the HD Experience. You'll catch us on the flip side.